What's up, everybody? It's Brandon with Box Office Banner and Cult Flick Symposium, and I am back, yes, again, you guessed it, with another review. I finally watched Extraction 2. I was supposed to watch this last weekend, but obviously I had a busy slate. If you looked at the channel, I went and saw like 3 movies last weekend. What were they again? Elemental, Flash, and there's another one. There is. Not ringing a bell right now. Not too much to dwell on, right? Either way, saw 3 movies. This would have been the 4th movie. Slipped by me amongst all those other movies I had to see and review. But I wasn't going to let this one, flow by me. The first Extraction, I didn't think was amazing. Face melting, crazy shit. But it was damn good. Sam Hargrave. Hats off, man. Especially in today's rinky-dink action genre that just doesn't seem to be doing shit outside of the John Wick franchise. It's all fast-paced, but it's fucking superhero movies and or shaky cam nonsense. Like even in our better ones, like the Jason Bourne movies. So hats off to you, Mr. Sam Hargrave. Really enjoyed the first one. The second one, I was hyped for because I was like, man, as good as this first one is, I could see them improving on this going forward, even though the first one had a really good ending. And it was kind of like, what the fuck? Like, Chris Hemsworth is back. Spoiler alert, not really a spoiler, but for the first one, that is. Don't freak out. I'm not spoiling anything for 2, but first one's old enough now. Close your ears for a second if you don't want to hear it. At the end of the first one, Chris Hemsworth seems to be, trudging along like he's supposed to die. And then they give him even like that last money shot. It's like it wasn't bad enough. He's already shot up. They give him that money shot where the bullet goes through his neck. And then it's like, oh, he's not going to make it on the bridge. And he falls off the bridge. And you're like, that's it. And you know what? That's a good it. I like that. But at the very, very end of the movie, you see him for a split second. Like you don't know for sure it's him. It's kind of like faded, like these characters in the background here, like Chucky in the background there, over here, I mean. It's kind of faded. You're like, oh shit, like that looks like the outline, but I can't necessarily pinpoint that that's Chris Hemsworth due to the blur. And guess what, guys? We have Extraction 2, and if you somehow missed out on the trailer, you probably could have guessed that, yeah, that was Chris Hemsworth. You pretty much knew it right then and there, right? But was this one good? Yes! I fucking really like this one. I might even say I like it better than the first. But I still don't know if I think I love this movie. I will say this much, though. Let's grade it on a scale of amongst other action movies of the genre currently at this time. Because, even honestly, the action movies of today are probably even better than the older action movies. No, don't shoot me. Don't shoot me. And if you do, I'll come back like Chris Hemsworth. I prefer vastly the 80s, 90s action movies, and I think it's because the action star was just so much bigger than life back then. But technically, from a technical aspect, you could definitely argue that these movies are just better made and are better. But they're just not, though. They don't have that bravado. They don't have that bigger-than-life figure that just took over the world. The name just got you out your seats, and you were coming there solely for their action. Chris Hemsworth is one of the better ones of the day, but you know what I mean. And they just were bigger than life. It's hard to quantify. It's hard to put, something to that. But it's really just as simple as that at the end of the day, if you think about it. There just was a bigger than life aspect. But the way this movie's made, if you put this back in the 80s, just off of the technical ability and the choreography and shit amongst the action, you'd be like, holy shit, mind melting, right? But we grade things on their time. So this movie, comparably, even though you could even be like, man, it's better than older action movies, it's not. You could maybe argue that, and technically you might have a point. It still doesn't hit the home run that era, the late 80s, early 90s hits for me. So that's why it isn't an amazing action movie to me. But again, looking at it from the aspect of what else is out there, even if you're harping on that and being, the person I'm being right now, which sounds dumb, saying like, oh, but I love older action movies, you got to at least give it the round of applause because this movie outside of like the John Wick movies, I don't know if I'm looking forward to new action movies coming out. Like Extraction 3, when that drops, because it's gonna fucking happen. You know it is. I think it might already be in development. I'm gonna be hyped for it. But is this movie great to me? Yes. The answer is yes, in terms of what we're getting right now. But it's still, I don't know. I think I might be being a little too hard on it because I see how good it is and I see what they're capable of, and I trust Sam behind the director's chair so much and Hemsworth as a lead so much that I feel like they can churn it out to another level, and I'm just holding it to a higher standard. But I want even more. And saying that, though, let me go ahead and spoil my rating. This is a 7.8 out of 10. Fucking awesome fucking movie. So let's talk about it a little more, other than, just selling the vibes and how much I enjoyed it and all that. So Chris Hemsworth, still fucking damn good here. He's not mind-blowing, but he's damn good. I mean, who hates Chris Hemsworth? It's not quite, I'll bring back around, because this is like, I guess this is like, the upper echelon, pedestal, stepping stone you have to fucking go up against. You want to beat the top dog, like John Wick. John Wick doesn't necessarily have an amazing story either, and we'll talk about the story issues within these movies and shit. Not as drastic as I think some people make it out to be, but still the story's not amazing, which doesn't necessarily have to be, but it's not amazing, that's the point. John Wick's story isn't necessarily amazing, it's pretty cut and dry. We're really here for the action, but there's a stamp, something about Keanu Reeves in John Wick. It feels like a signature role for him, like you'll always remember him as John Wick. Maybe Break, who's Chris Hemsworth's character, maybe he can, at some point we can hear Break and we're just, oh man, Extraction, just boom, immediately goes to that. We hear Wick, boom, Keanu Reeves. So is Chris Hemsworth good? Yeah, he's damn good in these movies. But the fact that these movies are gritty and actually honestly do kind of almost have a throwback kind of feel to them, action star, bigger than life feel, I am holding it to a standard, I think, again, I'm harping on that, where I think I'm ready for Chris Hemsworth to just own this role. I mean, he's owning it, but I want him to just, and maybe over the course of all these movies, it'll add up. But with Keanu Reeves, it was immediate. So it's Chris Hemsworth, holy shit, action star, this is the next best fucking thing. No, but is he good? He's damn good. And I think these movies have the potential for that. So I'm hoping that third one just fucking levels me, like this one did, in spots. The action in general, great. Sam Hargrave, you're killing it, man. Love all the action scenes that involve workout equipment. Be looking for that. A lot of that going on. There's a particular scene while workout equipment is, I guess I'm going to talk around this. I don't want to give away too much. That while this workout equipment's being used, where it's just like edge of your seat, because it's like one of those things where like the action's happening here, but you're worried about something over here and you're running out of time over here and you got to get it done right here to get over here. You'll see what I mean when you watch the movie, or if you've seen it, you probably know what I'm talking about. That scene had me on the edge of my seat. It was kind of a cool, creative choice, the way they did that, I thought. I'll say this, it involves someone sliding. Ooh, what's that gonna mean? What the fuck was that, people? I don't know if y'all heard that, something went boom back there. That scene was dope. Let's talk about like the 21-minute action scene. That was one shot. Let me add that. I mean, what the fuck? This was inventive. This was great. Anytime they do these one shots, all I can think of is just like the guy with the camera, man. Let's give this guy more credit. We're always crediting these dudes that are in the movie, and here it's Chris Hemsworth. Other movies, obviously, it's whoever, insert name here. Or anybody, not even Chris Hemsworth, just whoever's in this one-shot action sequence with him at any given time, but Chris Hemsworth's the lead, so I'm going to put it on his shoulders. Yes, bravo, Chris Hemsworth, but we do not talk about these cameramen enough in these one-shot scenes. Can you imagine being 15 minutes, probably on your like 50th try to nail down this one shot, unless you just fucking had complete luck and nailed it right off the bat, like, oh, damn, that's good, let's keep that. Or maybe it wasn't even planned, they're like, keep rolling. Probably was, because there was a one-shot sequence in the first one. They wanted to up that. But can you imagine being a cameraman, being 15 minutes into this shit, and you're like running with Chris Hemsworth, and you just trip and fall, fucking throw the camera down. Everybody's like, oh, man, that was the best one yet. I don't want that pressure. You got to give it up for these dudes. Because, I mean, as good as like that, I think it was like 10 to 15 minute range in the first one. Don't have it. I don't really look into this shit. I'm the guy I like to go off the cuff. That's another reason why I don't really even edit my videos. I want it to feel authentic. Like if you come and talk to me in person, this is how we're gonna converse. It's not like other movies where if you talk to a bunch of these other YouTubers, not cutting them down, as their editing's phenomenal, but there's a lot of YouTubers, I think, that if you actually talk to them, there's so many cuts, it's like they couldn't formulate the same fucking opinion and bring it all together as one. If I'm even doing that well, Jesus Christ. But the cameramen, dude, the cameramen. How in the world do they do it? But yeah, it was like 10 to 15 minutes in the first one. Let's not get too far off track. See, this is the perks of editing, I guess. But the 10 to 15 minute one, it was good. But I think this one, to even up it, I believe this one was 21 minutes. I think they did, man. And that whole action scene in particular really just shined through everything with the train. Escaping the prison, dude. That shit was dope. So be on the lookout for that. There is a certain scene in this movie that relies heavily, if you're big fans of The Raid, which, you know, as time goes on, more and more people have seen those movies, that takes a lot from The Raid too. And I'm not mad at it. A lot of times when they borrow something from, like, you know, a foreign film, mainly like a martial arts film, or just, you know, any film, but here in particular, an action film not stealing, more paying homage or borrowing, whatever you want to say. You're already kind of rolling your eyes. You're just like, they're not going to pull it off. They're not going to do it as well. I think they took it, ran with it, and it had the Raid 2 vibes, but it did its own thing too, and it was a hell of a lot of fun. This might have been my favorite part of the movie because I was like ready for them to kind of fuck it up, and I'm like, man, I should not have doubted Sam Hargrave. Because let's just talk about Sam for a second. This dude is a guy, he's been an actor in movies and smaller roles, a legit martial artist, so he knows what he's doing when he's behind the camera, which obviously, huge stunt coordinator, worked on a lot of Marvel films with like the Russo brothers. Obviously, I believe one of the Russo brothers wrote this movie, maybe even the first one. Can't really remember again, off the cuff. And the man just knows what to shoot, what to get out of a film. Not to bring up John Wick again, but just like Stahelski does. He's a legit martial artist too. These are the right guys to helm these types of movies, and it shows through. And once again, it shows through with flying colors here. Now, the story in this movie, once again, like the first one, it's not an amazing story. But where it does get saved to some degree is they still add in those emotional beats. So it's not like flat out action throughout, to the point where you're just like, well, I don't really give a fuck about the action because as cool as it is, I don't give a shit about what's going on. They somehow kind of save that by adding in these emotional cues. They kind of almost surprise you, like, oh shit, that's right. Like this with this, this with that. Like, yeah, that is sad. Or maybe there's a character death or something like that. They find a way. If you saw the first one, you know how we felt about Hemsworth on the bridge at the end, the sad music. We were like, okay, I'm feeling this, even if the story wasn't, you know, amazing. But they do enough here. You know, it's not like it's fucking god awful. It's not like you don't have a pulse watching the movie like, oh, cool action, but everything else sucks. I don't think that, and I don't agree with that, even in the first one, that a lot of people have harped on. They're like, yeah, but I don't give a shit about anything. It's not quite that dull and dry. The action's that damn good, and they add in enough emotional beats, I think, to kind of fill the void of that to some degree. So, not perfect. A better story in these movies would, you know, I think elevate it. But also, we're losing some action there, too. Maybe just make it 3 hours instead of 2. Is that the answer? Maybe. Villains-wise, I could do with a better villain in the third one. Because the first villain, like, I don't even fucking remember him. It was just bland to me. The second villain, this guy was good. He's not bad. He looks the part. He's menacing. You know, you believe that he'd do the fucked up shit he's doing. But at the same time, though, we haven't had the amazing villain yet. And I think if they really nail that down and we kind of get maybe a vibe of that going forward at the end of this one, we'll see. Assuming Extraction 3 comes out. Like I said, I think it's in the works already, or in development. Come on, Sam. You're killing it. Keep it going. But as good as the villain is in this movie, I'm still waiting for that signature villain, you know, like that villain that's just cold-blooded, that maybe you also don't really feel remorse for him, but you're like, damn, this dude's doing this, and I see exactly why he's doing it, and give him maybe a little more depth, because it's not like it's not there in this one. Like I said, the villain is serviceable, but I think they can really pin home that villain to where they at least give him the necessary things in a villain where he can be brutal, he can be cruel, he can have the look, but there's that personality aspect. Or sometimes a villain can just not have any personality at all, and they let their actions do the talking, and you're just like, this dude's a fucking badass. Haven't really got that yet. We were on the cusp with this one, but this villain's missing just that little something. Maybe it's personality. Maybe he needs to be a little more badass, even though this one isn't like, it's not like it's playtime for Hemsworth. Like, this is just easy walk in the park. There's something there, but it's not quite, it's missing, needs a little more pizzazz. And that's not the word you want to use for a mean fucking villain. But we might, maybe we get it in 3. It's not quite there. It improved. But in general, just about, I think this is a marginal improvement, but I want that drastic improvement. So I'm not going to give it an 8. Like I said, I'm going to give it a 7.8. I want to watch it again. I think I can grow into actually loving this movie more on a rewatch, just appreciating what Sam's doing with these movies. And, keep them coming, because I'm not shitting on this by any means. I hope it doesn't come across that way. I'm praising it. And I'm also, trying to have it elevate in certain areas. But like I said, I see the potential with these movies. And as good as they are, it's just a watered down genre right now. And I know how much better it even can be with just a few tweaks, I think. But overall, dude, outside of, like, again, there's that word again, John Wick, like, there's not really much competition, and this shit is filmed well. It's got a guy, again, in Hargrave that knows what the fuck he's doing, and you can do a lot worse in terms of action movies right now. This is fun. It's really cool. I'm really looking forward to see what they do with 3. Again, assuming that's in development. Let's keep it going, and let's keep supporting movies like this. I think the first one killed. I'm sure this one's killing on Netflix, too. Let's go, dude. Good shit. We need more action movies like this. Anyways, like, share, subscribe. Main thing, comment. Let me know what you thought. Let me know if I'm crazy. Let me know if you haven't seen it yet. Let me know if you're hyped. Let me know something. Like, damn, why is this dude wearing a Panthers hat? Is he a football fan? I thought you were a movie fan. Fuck you. Like, you could even do that. I don't know why you do that, but that's just, first thing off the top of my head. Touch my hat, too. Wow, good segue. Anyways, love you guys. Peace. Seriously. Really do, though.